Welcome back to another video. Today I'm discussing who had the least help in the new gen. Now for me, I am only discussing the generation of anime I was brought up on, which is Black Clover, Demon Slayer, My Hero, Fire Force, Doctor Stone, Fairy Tail, One Punch Man, Attack on Titan, and of course, I mean, technically, One Punch Man is sort of a gag character, so I would never put Saitama in this debate, because then Saitama would, of course, win this debate of having the least help, just because he had the ones with mostly everybody in the verse. He has had no help in any fight he's had, so he's a gag character, so you gotta leave Saitama out of this. I'm really trying to think of other animes that came out in the early to mid 2010s. Other than the more popular shonens that I just named to you. But either way, I'm just going to do the popular faces of it. I did not want to call it who had the least help in the new gen big three. There's no new gen big three. There's only one big three, and that is Naruto, Luffy, and Ichigo. Anyway, Deku would have the least help in new gen, or at least with all the new shonens, just off the benefactor of, as we know early in the show, Deku mostly breaks all his limbs. He mostly fights as a reckless bleed, and his arms are beyond repair. As we all know, he has to fight Todoroki 1v1. He has to fight Bakugo 1v1, while he also has to face Slain. Now he does have help with Slain as well as other kids, but he mostly puts in the main effort into Slain. Now Slain and him, at least with that arc, are levels apart during this fight. Now as we produce in the story, Deku trains more, he fixes and ticks his style. We could increasingly see that he has to slowly start fighting alone, as everyone that is there that is trying to help him is becoming a hindrance to him, just because Deku is growing more powerful with every new quirk that he is awakened, every new conscience that is added onto him by the means of One for All. And within that, you can see Deku go wary and become sort of a vigilante. He puts the world on his back. Now, of course, everyone tries to help Deku and tries to give help to Deku, but Deku, to his class, is on a whole different level. Now, Deku may be on a different level from like Primal Might, but he's running the ones with the stronger people in the verse to All For One, to my I almost said Mahito. I can't think of his name, but you're going to have to help me out. Drop it in the comment section. To the guy who always touching people, deteriorating. That's sort of like Mahito. I'm sorry, I just did a video on something like that. To the guy always touching people. Oh, Shiragaki. He is respectfully wanting the ones to all these incredibly powerful people on this verse, just because anyone who tries to help him, anyone who tries to talk, anyone who's tried to intervene is just being a hindrance to Deku. Deku is by far the strongest in his verse at the peak prime of his life. Now, as we know, he is no longer in his prime, as he lost most, if not all, his quirk abilities. But when My Hero is doing the war arc, when My Hero is much later into the story, when they become sidekicks, when he has to fight against his master, I can't remember his name. He's doing it 1v1ing. He's training. He's not receiving the help of a Tanjiro. Of course, I think Tanjiro received the most help out of New Gen, just off the benefactor of he can't win 1v1 against any demons, even with his Demon Slayer mark. Then I would say Itadori would have received the most help after Tanjiro, because I think Tanjiro was just clear cut number one. Itadori received the most help just because almost in every fight, Itadori may deliver the killing blow, except for Nobara in the Sukuna fight. Spoilers. My fault. That Itadori has the killing blow, but he only gets the advantage with the help of many others. Now, I won't count the Sukuna fight just because Sukuna is a major threat, so it makes sense that a gauntlet had to be thrown at Sukuna. But I mean, like Mahito, his two brothers, or two Chozo brothers, that he was fighting, that was with Obara's help. There is no 1v1 fight that Itadori has done that has not ended in his death or ending him outmatched. None. Right? And then after that, I would say, of course, Asta. Now, Asta, of course, in the show does have a 1v1 fight, especially earlier on when you're introduced to his power. They hype him up, in the show, they built him down, so when Asta pops out with the swords, you know it's a big surprise. Whoa. But once you get to the Witch Queen's arc, and Vanessa gets that fate magic or fate altering magic, oh, she's involved in almost every single fight to drag Asta out of there, to drag Yami out of there, for Asta, of course, to be, to have the advantage in that fight. But when Deku steps onto the scene in his prime, everyone else becomes a hindrance to him. Where on the Benefactor, he needs to fight alone. He tries to do everything alone. And we saw in the manga that just tired him out. And everyone who hated on him, even though he's been fighting for them, was in the wrong. Even saw him as a Nomu. So that's who I thought had the least help in the big three. The least help in New Gen, or at least this generation of anime that I'm talking about. I would have discussed the next generation of anime, the Soul Leveling, the Dons, the Kaiju number 8s, but those animes just got started, so give it about 10 years when all the fandoms and all the hype and all the movies done came out about these animes. But other than that, like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.